Wonderful. So I will say this one more time. Thank you so much for coming out. If you're just coming into the session or recently coming into the session, please do take the time to change your name on Zoom to be your actual legal first and last name. So that way we can sort of keep tabs on who is in the session. I will be monitoring the chat throughout this entire thing. So any sort of questions you have, definitely feel free to address it over there. And then I will go ahead and look that over, let our presenters know, and then we can get all your questions answered. Now, we do have with us today Dre Powell and Whitney Smith. They both work with Student Life. They're going to be doing you guys' presentation, sort of letting you know what's on campus, what engagement looks like, and what your student will be able to do here at Bridgewater. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Whitney first.
I think my name is Whitney Smith, as Darren said. I'm Assistant Dean of Students for Engagement, and so I get to work with students with clubs and organizations, leadership opportunities, Student Senate, first year experience, and I think that's all of them. Oh, campus recreation. Sometimes I forget that one, but campus recreation is another piece of what we do. So Intramurals, our Funk House, our Wellness Center. And then we partner a lot with Dre, who is co-presenting with me tonight. And so I'll let Dre introduce himself, and he's going to actually be the one that shares the PowerPoint with us.
Alrighty. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? My name is DeAndre Powell, but as I said, most of the campus calls me Dre. That's my nickname, and on campus was my nickname from undergrad that somehow transitioned to Bridgewater College. So I am happy to be here with you all. I serve as the Assistant Director for Diversity, Education, and Advocacy. And a part of that is working with different programming on campus, as well as working with the Eagle Success mentoring program. And Whitney and I happen to collaborate a lot. More so like right now with COVID going on, we've had to do a lot of online programming. So we get to see each other very often and always work together. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen for our PowerPoint. And, okay, I'm gonna start from the beginning. The first thing that I wanna kind of throw out there as the screen is going to where it's gonna start the PowerPoint, be sure to go over to our Instagram and Facebook page to follow BCVA Student Life. You can keep up with everything that Student Life is doing this summer, as well as for the fall and spring semester, and get a lot of updates on what's happening on campus at the same time. So that's BCVA Student Life on Instagram and Facebook. You'll get to see a lot of things that we're doing.
So as we get started tonight, I have worked in higher ed with student activities and engagement for about 20 years. And this is probably the biggest piece of advice I would give any incoming student and their family, is that you're only going to get out of this experience what you put into it. We want to encourage you to make the most of your time at Bridgewater. We want you to get plugged into your community, into your residential experience. We want to be able to enhance what you've learned in the classroom. It's an easy way to have some value added by the ways that you get engaged with our larger Bridgewater community. So those are the things Dre and I are going to share with you tonight, kind of some of the experiences you can have to be engaged in our community.
Alrighty, so a part of what Whitney was saying, we want to make sure that you all are engaged in our community. And for those of you all who may not necessarily understand, one of the terms that we tend to use in student life is engagement. And that just means connecting with you all and getting you all in at the same time. So student life, we have a curriculum, and that's composed of 4 tenets. Those 4 tenets include community, critical thinking, identity, and cultural appreciation. And they're very simple, but I won't spend a lot of time going into them in-depthly, just because you'll kind of see how they are phased throughout the way that we do our programming, the way we do different things on campus in general throughout the PowerPoint, as well as you all become Bridgewater Eagles.
So as we start our presentation tonight, we're going to kind of walk you through what a year in the life of a BC student looks like. So as a new student, you would be coming in and you would go through our opening convocation. And as you leave opening convocation and go over to our opening picnic, you're going to walk through the echelon. the echelon tradition started about 3 years ago. Our seniors, as they graduate, so when they leave the commencement tent, they walk through an echelon of faculty and staff, and that's kind of the last, those are the last folks to for them to say goodbye, and that's where they say their goodbyes to their faculty members. So for new students, we reverse that, and so as you're leaving your opening convocation, you're walking through the echelon. We're all there, faculty, other Bridgewater staff members are there. We're there cheering you on to welcome you into our community. And so it's a lot of fun. It's loud, but it's a really fun, spirited moment to let you know that you're part of our community now, and you start classes the next day. So that's kind of the big build up into your first day of class.
Kind of like Whitney said, keeping up with that spirit piece. Also, just to add on, this year we had the pep band participate in the Echelon March from open convocation onto the campus mall. Part of that spirit piece, one cool thing that we have for our first year students, you all will notice that you take a FILA 150 class, which is just basically a course on campus that kind of gets you acclimated to our campus as well as the college life in general, because there's a transition that happens when you graduate from high school to going into that first full step in adulthood on your own. And so the FILA 150 class is basically to kind of prep you and help you get adjusted and get acclimated to the system. So along with that, you all will be able to participate in the BC Cup, which is an opportunity for you all to meet the members of your class inside of your FILA 150 class. And you're gonna participate in activities, about 8 to 12 different activities, which will consist of anything from physical, hard, work with this, what was one of the things, we passed the hula hoop down a line one time through, I think, maybe about 25 people. And when I tell you, it was my first time to see it last year, it was a lot. But they made it through and it was a lot of fun. But not only do we offer pieces for like physical, and for those of you all who like to be very active, we also offer pieces like riddles and puzzles for you all to kind of solve for those of you all who are more intellectually stimulated. And so the BC Cup is a time where everyone in the FILA 150 classes come together and kind of battle it out. And those bragging rights are very important, because one of the things that you all end up winning is dinner at the president's house, as well as some other cool perks that happen on campus. So,
as we move through the year, then one of our next traditions is a BC Thanksgiving, and we had the opportunity to have Dr. and Mrs. Bushman come in and carve turkeys for us and be able to serve our students. Not only do our students gather for a traditional Thanksgiving meal, they are able to come together and we have a big table set up and they're able to share what they're thankful for. And so we take their picture, we post it on our social media. It's just we're at that point in the year, and that point in November where students are looking at exams, they need a little bit of a break. And this is a way to build that further community, build that Bridgewater family that we've created, and to celebrate that. We also ask students of different cultures of how do you celebrate Thanksgiving, or what is a similar celebration, and allow them to submit recipes back, and we can highlight their food as well, or some type of food that's meaningful to them and they're able to tell their story. So Bridgewater Thanksgiving is a highlight that leads us into some more winter celebrations.
Yes, and I will add on to what Whitney said and just point out that our Parkhurst staff, which is our dining services, they throw down, they get down with the get down when it comes to that Thanksgiving meal. It makes you feel like you're at home right before you go home to be with your family for Thanksgiving. So like she said, it kind of leads into our next tradition on campus, which is our Journey of Lights Festival. Journey of Lights, as you can see, is outside in the middle of campus. And it's an opportunity for us to hit on that community piece, and cultural appreciation piece, where we bring together our students from backgrounds, someone may online. Meet you all so we can get back to the program. Thank you. So one thing that you all will notice about Journey of Lights is that our students from different backgrounds come together and they showcase how they celebrate the winter season. We notice at Bridgewater that everyone does not celebrate Christmas. And so we want to make sure that we create an inclusive environment on campus where everyone knows that your traditions and your heritage and your background is welcome on campus too. And also, while it's welcome, we also want you to take the time to teach someone else about your culture and your heritage at the same time. So Journey of Life is a perfect opportunity to do that. Here on this picture, we have our Black Student Association, some of our Jewish students who are on campus, our Muslim Student Association, as well as our Asian Student Association, who's listed here.
Jay, if you want to go ahead and play the video first.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Hated Christmas, the whole Christmas season. Please don't ask why. It could be perhaps an issue for two cousins. It wasn't screwed on. I think it's likely reasonable if it is sizes too small.
More question maybe. What is my code for somebody to put money into our paper?
Okay, that's the video, Whitney.
So one of my favorite parts of this video is when they zoom in on the big tree in the corner of, this is shot in the middle of our Klein Campus Center. At Bridgewater, when we put up that huge tree, it is called the BC tree. And we ask, it's very significant and very meaningful that they did that shot, because we asked all of our clubs and orgs, so we have about 70 different clubs and organizations on campus, to come together and to make a Christmas ornament. What is something that represents your group? What is something that represents your class? What is something that you may represent you as a person? And that's how we decorate that tree. You can see some of the traditional balls, different ornaments, but really the big bulk of decorations are made by our students. And we showcase those from year to year to year. Another piece that you can't see is we have different representations up around the rest of the room as well. This year we shared all of the cultures that were represented outside during Journey of Lights, where big posters were put in the windows. So we were able to bring everybody back inside. We warm up there. You see that students are sitting on the floor. That's very intentional because they asked to sit on the floor. About this time of year is when students have started exams, or it's maybe 2 or 3 days before exams start. And they have let us know that they just want permission to be a kid for a couple hours. They just want to have some fun. They want to be with their friends. They want to hang out with their friends. For some of them, they are missing the traditions of home. And so we have tried to provide as many traditions as we can for those students just to come together and to celebrate. And so this is generally a really fun night. And the highlight is whatever Christmas story or holiday story that Dr. Bushman reads. He gets into character. He walks around 2 days before this event and passes out candy canes to advertise it. So this event, the entire night, has a whole lot of excitement built around it to celebrate with your friends before exams start.
So just to keep it moving, one of the next big events that we have that comes up is our Martin Luther King Jr. Day Celebration. As you can see here, we started a march for our campus about 2 years ago. This was actually, last year. This was our second year doing the Mlk March on campus. And with the Mlk Day Celebration, it's an opportunity for us to reflect on the dream and the vision of Dr. King, to see where we are as a community, as Bridgewater College, and where we are moving towards to make sure that we create a society where all of us feel like this is a place called home. One of the cool things that we do at Bridgewater, we did our march, and this year our march was attended by approximately 500 different individuals on from our community, from the surrounding community areas, as well as our students, faculty, and staff. And we also, the weekend prior to, we took a trip to DC to visit the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And we used that as an opportunity to kind of segue into Black History Month, while also looking at some of the different pieces, or looking at Dr. King's vision kind of portrayed within the museum itself. And another piece where you will often see me involved in are some of our diversity programs. Like I said in the last slide, we want to make sure that Bridgewater College is a place called home for everybody. We know that a lot of times our underrepresented students or minority students who come to campus may feel like there are not exactly spaces made specifically for them, but we push to make sure that Bridgewater College is all inclusive all the way around. No matter what space you walk into, no matter what classroom you're in, no matter when you walk into the student life office, I challenge each and every one of you all. I will tell you now to pop into the student life office. I have an open door policy, and Whitney also pretty much for the most part has an open door policy where you can come in and talk to us at any time. We do not mind having a conversation with you all. Our first priority in student life is the students that we serve. And so as you can see inside of this PowerPoint, there are several different programs. One time we did, this past year, have what I call barbershop and beauty talk. And what we were able to do is to bring in local barbers and beauticians from the Bridgewater and Harrisonburg community to come in and do our students' hair free of charge for them. And we created what I call, I'm a little younger, so I'll say this, we created a vibe. It was a lot of music, a lot of fun. A lot of students left kind of refreshed and renewed. And also, if you look down at the bottom left, you will see some painting. We had a trap and paint on campus, which was a lot of fun. Like we said, I like to create fun programs, just like some of my counterparts in engagement, Whitney and Sam, who you'll meet later on. We like to create fun programs and things that are up to date with what's going on in our society, but add an educational flair to it. So with Trap and Paint, we were able to create a space for students to listen to music, listen to a track, which is a part of the hip hop genre of music, and they painted, and they also talked about how the hip hop pop culture kind of impacts our day-to-day lives, as well as our college culture, and moving from there. And if you see, you'll see a picture, for those of you all who know hip hop pretty well, of J. Cole, who is one of my favorite artists. One of my students made that picture for me out of the blue, so I love that. If you are an artist, please holler at me.
So another group that partners with us quite a bit is our wellness team and our wellness department. And I know that Dr. Rittenhouse will be doing a session later tonight. But one of the things that the wellness group or our wellness office provides are therapy dogs. So about every other week, they partner with Therapy Dogs International. So these dogs do have certificates saying they can be therapy dogs. And they come onto campus for about an hour and a half. And literally you can just set and pet a dog. We try to make sure that near finals, we have more opportunities if we can bring them in once or twice or a couple more times. Again, we know that students who are away from home are missing their animals. They're missing their pets. And we know, research has proven it over and over again, that having those types of animals on campus help everyone. And so it's just a time for students to come in, they can chat with the owners, they can just decompress. Sometimes you'll find them just sitting near a dog, sometimes they're playing ball with the dogs. And it all just kind of depends we usually hope for beautiful days like today that they can be outside on our mall and do this. But Therapy Dogs is one of our biggest events that students get excited about, because they know it's coming every couple weeks that the dogs will be in to visit. This year we were able to we started a new initiative with our athletics department. When our football team made it, they were ODAC champs, and we got to host the first playoff game. We had our first Eagle Nation game ever. The long name is Eagle Nation Spirit Squad. So we shortened it to Eagle Nation. We've also done it for basketball. Our intention is to work with our coaches. For every sport, there will be at least one home game that we give out fun t-shirts, we give out prizes, we'll give out fun food. We want to pack the stands. So we want to get as many students as we can get there. We partner, as I said, we partner with the coaches. Some of our games called Bleed Crimson games, because our colors are crimson and gold, are games that coaches have designated and they request all other student athletes to be a part of. So we will often tack on to those Bleed Crimson games so that we have a larger force of both athletic and non-athletic students packing the house to cheer on the athletes on the field.
If I had time, I would run over to my room and grab my BC beanie. As you can see, I'll go back to the picture. You see a lot of students inside of this photo are wearing their BC beanies. I won't tell you a lot about that now, but as you become an official Eagle, the BC beanies are where it's at. You are not really a Bridgewater student or a Bridgewater, even a Bridgewater alum, really, if you have not gotten a BC. So I will leave that there. You have to show up to events to get that beanie. And so, yeah, I'm going to play this video first, and then I'll talk about our intramural sports. So for those of you all who are wondering exactly what is going on here, first let's talk about it. We actually have a bunch of different intramural sports on campus. For those of you all who decide not to be involved in our athletic department, we have several different intramural sports available on campus. One of the campus favorites right now, and we are so sad about COVID-19 because we weren't able to do this year, but we actually do a live action Battleship. Yes, I did say Battleship. If you saw just a few moments ago, the objective of this game, where all of our students are there, is to sink the other team's battleship into the water. And what's cool about this, from what I've been told, I have not been able to participate yet because I'm so new to the Bridgewater community, but our students, faculty, and staff can participate inside or be a part of our battleship teams that are on campus. But intramural sports are awesome on campus. It's a great way for you to stay active and stay involved. There are several different sports that are available there, from basketball to volleyball, you name it. There are a bunch of different things. And one of the coolest things I would dare say, and some of our student athletes may kind of have my neck for this, but having a intramural champ t-shirt is one of the highest prized possessions on our campus. Because, you know, for lack of better terms, where I'm from, that means you bad about it. You know, that means that you are really about that life. You are ready to go head on and get down into those sports, real talk, and you run the campus for the most part. So
we do two large traditions in the springtime, and it all depends on when the Easter holiday falls, when that April break falls on Easter holiday, and when Founders Day, which is the first Tuesday of April. The first Tuesday of April being Founders Day is when we celebrate the birth of our founder, Daniel Christian Flory. So about this time of year, students are almost done. They can see the finish line. They can see exams coming. They have final papers. Seniors are wrapping up their year. And there's usually, you can feel a little bit of stress. So we break it up. Around Easter, Ernie will go out at some point and he will drop 300 eggs around campus. They're hidden. Each student, which you can see the students here doing, can turn in 3 eggs. So you're allowed to find as many as you can find, but you can only turn in 3 for prizes. And you get anything from a piece of candy to, there's this huge basket that we do that's full of stuff from the campus store, big water bottles, sweatshirts, generally popcorn. At our local popcorn place in Harrisonburg, we have our own Bridgewater College Crimson Crunch, and so usually there's popcorn in there. And so it's just a really neat big goodie basket. I can tell you the first year we did it, there had been snow on the ground, and students may have been out with spoons from the dining hall trying to find the eggs, even though we swore we did not hide them down in snow banks. This year with COVID-19, that did not stop us. We hid 6 eggs through the internet, and students could go in, and it was really cool. They clicked on an egg, they dropped their name in, and then we were able to award them prizes that way. The other thing that we do with Founders Day is we have in Student Life Suite, there's a wooden medallion that has the college's seal hanging on the wall. Usually on or about Founders Day, that medallion also goes missing. And during Founders Day, we release a clue. So usually Dr. Bushman reads it during our Founders Day ceremony. And students then again start to look. And it is a lot of fun to be on campus during these challenges because students are pairing up, they're buddying up, they're asking professors, they're coming to us as employees, like, where is it? Can you help me figure this clue out? Find it on the first day, you get $200. It decreases by $50 until the medallion is found.
One thing that you will learn about student life in Bridgewater Colleges in general, we are very innovative. When a problem arises or when there's a boundary put in our place, we like to find our way around it. So I like to say that COVID-19 did not stop this show. We kept it going, and we are continuing to keep it going this summer. So one of the cool things that you'll notice that we did last year, which in partner with one of our student organizations, Allies, which represents our LGBTQIA plus community on campus, and we did a drag show. And this was one of the largest attended events of that year. One, because our students were able to engage inside of another culture and be able to understand intersectionality from a better perspective, as well as it was just a fun show all around. So along with that, we talk about creating a safe environment and an inclusive environment on campus. And we can't do that without offering opportunities for our students to learn and to grow, because we know that as our students and even faculty and staff, as you come to campus, you don't know everything. We don't expect you to know everything, but we do expect you to be an active participant in wanting to be a willing partner to grow and to want to make sure that you're pushing for our campus to be just as inclusive. So we also offer our Safe Zone training on campus, which is a training that is focused towards our LGBTQ plus community and understanding different pieces from pronouns to, it's a safe space for you to come in and to ask the questions that you may not know the answer to, or that you may not realize are things that you should or should not say. It's a safe space for you to come in where it's all about educating. So the drag show, we do hope to bring that back in this upcoming year. Again, with COVID, that was one of the things that stopped the show, but we are planning to keep the student life bus moving along.
The other nice piece with the drag show is that it featured a panel. So if you had never been to a drag show, it created a very safe environment for you to come in and get to know the drag queens and really understand why that's an important piece of their lifestyle.
All right, and now we will move on to Spring Fest. If I can get the video playing. Here we go.
Springfest is at the end of the year. We do it on the study day. Again, with COVID-19, we pulled off this virtual Springfest. We weren't able to have yoga with goats this year, but we did do a visit to a farm. One of our faculty members visited a farm, and so we got to still see goats, and then participants in that Zoom call could bring their animals in. And so we got to meet other students' pets that they have at home. And the whole point of Springfest is to bring our community together it's to celebrate the end of the year, but it's also a time for us to have a really compact 4 hours of just, again, taking a few minutes, putting your classwork aside for just a little bit of time and just having fun. It's a time to blow off some steam. We usually tie in our wellness department, and last year we were able to do yoga with goats, and so they had some mindfulness activities set up, and we were able to have 2 sessions, about 100 students, and Dr. Bushman, our provost, and another VP came in and joined us with yoga for goats. And so as we come back together, that will be something we will entertain again. It was a huge hit. But students also enjoyed fun food, like you saw the big bundles, I guess is what you bunch, of cotton candy. There were fried Oreos. They could make lots of fun things. And then the interactive inflatables that you could play human foosball, or you could do the most popular one was the Hungry Hippos. And so it was life size, you were tethered, and you were the hippo trying to get the balls. We partner with some of the clubs and organizations to do activities, and we partner with the different classes. So it might be the senior class is running an event, or the junior class. And so it really is a truly all-inclusive, all-in community event.
For those of you who are wondering, she did say goat yoga. In the spring year, a lot of my coworkers have been saying that goat yoga is where it's at. Me and my house, I don't know about that, but I'm going to try it out next year when the goats come back on. I encourage you all to join me and have your cameras ready. One thing is that Dre has a lot of facial expressions, so I am sure I will have some for those goats.
And it's a lot of fun, Dre. I can promise you that. It's well worth it. Then with residence life, so being at Bridgewater, it is a residential experience. Most of our students will live on campus, but we started about 3 years ago our Commuter Connections program. So as an incoming student, if you're coming in as a commuter, we'll actually assign you to a residential area with an RA. So that as they're doing programs, just like the picture that you see, they're doing a cookout, or they're doing an educational program, or they're just having a study break, you're invited into those spaces, and we want you in those spaces. We want to connect you with other students. We want to connect you with the peer RAs, so they are resources for you. So the residential component is very important to us, and that Commuter Connections has proven very helpful. It was so helpful that last year was our 2nd year. Some of our junior and senior commuters who didn't get this actually came in back to us and said, wait a minute, why don't we have a residence hall that we're connected to? We would like that. So last year we actually assigned everyone a residence hall. So you can go in, you have a study spot, get to know those folks that are there, and you get to do the activities that the residential students get to do.
And so we want to thank you all first for tuning in to our presentation. We're going to move into our question and answer session. Like I said, be sure to follow our social media pages at BCBA Student Life on Instagram and Facebook to keep up with what we're doing throughout the summertime and what's coming up in the fall semester. And word on the street is there may be some prizes out there in some of our activities that are coming up over the summertime. So you definitely want to get involved and get active in BC already, because this summer is going to be fun. We're taking a different approach this year and making sure that we do our summer programming online. COVID make things a little bit different, so we want to make sure that we continue to stay involved and stay engaged with our students. You'll see on the screen, this is my contact information as well as Whitney's contact information. I put the wrong email there. So, I apologize for that. What I'll do is I'll stop sharing for a moment, and then I'll put this back up with my correct email information.
So I'll share too with new students. We are doing, there's Mark and I with Jarrett Smith from Admissions are doing a session on Thursday night to talk about summer orientation and what that's going to look like, kind of the next steps. And we'll be talking about some of the stuff we have planned for you guys that are just for new students.
Darren, I think we're ready to start taking questions whenever you give us the go.
All right, that is But I am checking the chat now, and it looks like currently the only question is the bingo tomorrow. Is that something that you all can participate in? Yes, 100%. That bingo is available for you all to be able to play. The link is out. I'm actually going to be co-hosting that session. It's going to be real fun. We're going to have 3 different rounds. One's going to be a Bridgewater-related questions round. One will be a sports-related round. We'll have another one that will be kind of like a pop culture round. And each one of those is going to have some fantastic prizes going along with it, about $75-ish for prizes for the winner. So definitely something to be a part of for sure. Let me go ahead and pop into that chat again. Yep, no worries there. And once again, if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to pop that down into the chat, and then I will go ahead and take a look at that. Doesn't look like... So got a...
I'll go ahead and...
Oh yeah, we have a question from
Go ahead.
Marcus saying, are the other classes welcoming to the younger class? And that's something that you can speak to, Whitney, just starting.
Sure. Yes, they are, Marcus. In fact, the program that runs out of my office and a program that Dre works with, we work with upperclassmen to do that very thing. I think they are mentors, and they will be your mentors through your first year. But beyond those students, I think one of the things that Bridgewater prides itself on is a caring community that you get to know each other. You get to know, it is a smaller campus. And so when you walk down the sidewalk, people are going to smile. They're going to say hello. They're going to say, how are you? And so that's, and that's just not students, that's employees, that's faculty members. It really is a friendly community.
I'll jump in for that question. I think what's cool about the Bridgewater community, with it being a smaller community, it is a perfect space where everybody kind of knows everybody. And so there is not really one point. I think, well, for me, I'll say my first semester into Bridgewater College, it took me a while to be able to learn everyone's name, and I'm not going to tell you that I know every single person's name on campus. But I know a lot of the students on campus by name, by face. Then most students know me on campus by name. You would never hear anyone call me DeAndre unless we are in like a convocation. Everybody calls me Dre. And I think Bridgewater is a very friendly community in general in itself, where it's hard for you not to be engaged, not to be friends with upperclassmen or get to know upperclassmen, unless you just decide to stay in your room. And nobody wants to do that because it's college, and that is boring.
Yep, so it looks like we have all the questions that was answered in the chat already. So thank you so much for that, Dre. So we have another question down here. It says, is there - how can you join into the student government at Bridgewater? Just at the club fair or some other means?
Sure. So you will get information. Gosh, I'm a little rusty on the exact dates. You'll get information as you're moving in. So our student government is tied to your residential area. So we have 3 representatives from each residential area and 4 commuters. I think I have that right. And we will give you information as you're moving in about opportunities to be engaged in your residence hall. So how do you get involved with your residence hall association at the very same time of how can you be a senator from your area to be on student senate? Does that answer your question? And there is a club fair then later on that week where you will get to see, again, Student Senate will have a table, but then all the other clubs and organizations will have tables as well that you can be involved with.
And I also just point out that we are excited to go into this new year with our student leaders. We are excited for you all to come in because we want you to get involved, get active, and to step into those leadership positions. We don't expect you to know everything. We'll provide, Whitney and Sam do an awesome job of providing the training for our student leaders on campus so that you can be equipped with the knowledge that you need to be a student leader on campus, especially working with our student government. And it's a great space to learn how to be an advocate for your entire student body.
So it looks like we do have another question here from Deshaun. He asked, when is Family and Friends Weekend? And if you guys would like to just talk a little bit about what that is in the first place.
Sure. Jerry, you want me to start?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to put it in the chat. So families can go ahead and mark it down. Family Weekend is September 18th through the 20th. I think that's the third weekend of September. Excuse me. And we do a lot of fun activities that are low key. We want to create an atmosphere where you can pick and choose as a family what you want to do. And so you may come in and do cornhole tournament on Saturday morning. You may decide to go to the football game with a tailgate. You may decide to have a tailgate spot. For the first time this year, we did a sibling event. So for littler siblings, we did a tailgate event down at the tailgating that featured Ernie the Eagle and making crafts and painting faces. And I was blown away by the number of our current students who had brought their younger siblings that were having a lot of fun. And they were asking if it could run longer. And so we're already exploring next year what else we can add to that event. SEAT, which is our programming board, will do one or two events, usually Friday night and or Saturday night, and it's something like Family Bingo or Family Feud. It's a way for you to bring your family in to see what happens on campus. And last year, families walked away with a lot of prizes from bingo. Like one young man walked away with a record player, and he was super ecstatic. So,
I'll jump in and say, Friends and Family Weekend is pretty dope. Though, yes, it's great for our students to be able to see their parents again. Parents, this is a perfect opportunity for you all to come to campus and to meet the faculty and staff that your students or that your children are engaging with. Why? Because you want to know who's working with your child. You want to know who is helping them along the way. You want to know if there is, someone who will have your back in the sense of keeping your child and, nudging them along a little bit. One of the opportunities that I had at Friends and Family Weekend was meeting a bunch of different parents. Several parents that I met had tailgating spots, which was pretty cool. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I met a parent who one of the best Philly cheesesteaks that I've ever had, probably up there in my top 5. So I definitely encourage you all to get active and to get involved. Tailgating is one of the things that we're constantly reviewing and constantly making more strides to make tailgating a better and more inclusive space for everyone to be active in.
Wonderful. One thing I did want to address really quickly before we get into our next couple of questions from the chat. If any of you are interested in going to that next session that is starting at 7, that session will not be starting here. You will have to actually back out of this meeting and then click into that link separately. So what I'm going to do one more time is pop the survey link down into the chat. So if any of you would like to, definitely feel free to pop on into that. And anybody looking to go to that next session, shortly after that link, I will try to post the link for the next session as well, just so if anybody's trying to get there, we're not having you guys get caught up too much. All right, so there's a survey link. All right, here you go. And then 1 second, I will pop in that next link for the following session. And that's going to be our residential life, by the way.
and I think Jay and I are happy to hang out too, Darren, as you're doing that for people who have questions.
Oh, yes, 100%. If you are either not interested in that session or, if you have more questions you'd like to be answered, definitely feel free to stay in this session and we will go ahead and answer your questions as long as you guys are here. Here is the link to the next Zoom session. All right, and sorry about that little delay. Getting back into the questions really quick, we have another one here from Marcus saying, are there jobs available on campus or in the local area for students?
Yes, I'll jump in. There are lots of jobs available on campus. If you all as first year incoming students, there are different positions available. One of them are, our front desk with Tyler Whitney.
Yeah, so they're called GRAs, not graduate, guest relations assistants with our campus events.
And so they do a lot of work on campus, and that is a position that you all can step into as a first year student. Also, you will notice that we also have positions in the student life suite where we ask students to apply to become one of our student workers, and that's one of the best positions to really get involved with student life and kind of learn the inner workings of student life at the same time on campus. So to answer your question, yes, there are plenty of jobs available on campus, as well as there are some in the local Bridgewater area.
And how that process is going to work is if you qualify for financial aid, if you qualify for work study through your financial aid, our student employment will, I'd like to do this job, or this job, and then it's sent to the supervisor, and the supervisor will communicate with you closer to the start of school.
And we did have one more question here that was from Lisa. Looks like she headed on, to the next session. But she was asking, in case anybody else was curious, can we secure a tailgating spot for football? And is this only for football?
Yes, you can
So
secure.
right now, we only do tailgating for football. What I would encourage you is to watch the athletics website. Generally, we start opening those spots. Last year, it was in July.
Cool. So I am currently not seeing any more in the chat as far as questions, but once again, we will definitely hang around, if you guys have any more questions, or just until everybody is done with the session and moving on.
It was a pleasure meeting you all, and thank you all for tuning in with us. We cannot wait to meet you all in student life. For those of you all who don't know, the Student Life Suite is located inside of the campus clientele, which we call the KCC. And pop into student life at any time. We have an open door policy for the most part. So.
Definitely. And definitely look forward to seeing you all in the coming sessions. 100% as far as that trivia, that will be a very, very good session. You guys should definitely try to find your way over to that one. We're going to have some really good prizes and a real good time over there. Let's see here. Let's see more. And, again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop that on into the chat, and we will essentially be here until everybody is gone. So any sort of questions you have, definitely feel free to direct those our way. And for those still sort of collecting, thank you so much for coming out to the session. We really appreciate it. Alrighty. Questions there, Desiree?
Trey, when you twist your camera, it's like a whoa.
All right, go ahead and stop this recording.
You made it.